mean. I want to give one more face example because I want to focus on this a little bit. This one's a little bit easier. Raise the corners of your lips back and up, please. Raise your cheeks. Raise your lower eyelids, if you can. It's smiling. You're smiling. You can stop. Smiling. Yale is actually really big on smiling. We have two of the world's experts on smiling. This is Angus Trumbull, the curator at the British Art Gallery, who wrote this wonderful book, A Brief History of the Smile, looking at the smile in art. And this is my colleague Marianne LaFrance, who is actually not smiling in that picture, but she studies smiling, and smiling in adults, smiling in children, smiling across cultures, and the different social uses of smiling. And there's some interesting discoveries people have made about smiles and emotions. One is that smiles are universal. We know, for instance, that young children smile. This is my son Zachary when he was younger. Not that weird-looking kid next to him. Thank God. And even blind children blind from birth, will smile. They'll smile appropriately, making an important point. This smiling is not learned by looking at other people's faces. Smiling is also not uniquely human. Non-human primates smile as well. Smiles are social signals. You might imagine that people smile when they're happy. This is actually not the case. It's not as simple as that. Rather, people smile when they wish to communicate happiness. And we know that from several studies. There's some studies of bowlers. And the studies are very nice. What they do is they film bowlers. So the bowlers do their bowling, and sometimes they knock down all the pins, which is called a what? A strike. So a strike. And that's good in the bowling world. So they knock down all the pins, but what they don't do is they don't smile after they knock down the pins. They're being filmed. They don't smile. Then they turn around to their friends and give a big grin. Other studies have looked at films of people who have just won Olympic gold medals. Now, not surprisingly, people who won Olympic gold medals are very happy. This is good news to win an Olympic gold medal. But they don't actually stand on the podium like grinning. Rather, they stand there, put their faces in normal expression. Then when they stand up and face the crowds, there's a big smile. You can ask yourself whether during sex, an activity where many people enjoy, whether or not people smile during sex. And you can discover this yourself with a partner or a mirror. So there are other things we know about smiles. There are different types of smiles. There are actually quite a few different types of smiles that are different in interesting ways. This is Paul Ekman again. Which one's a better smile? Who votes for the one on the right? Who votes for one on the left? There are two different sorts of smiles. The one on the right is a smile of greeting. It's sometimes known as a Pan Am smile. Pan Am is a now defunct airline, which had, at that time, they don't call them stewardesses anymore, but the stewardesses would come in and they would smile. That was part of their job. But it was a big fake smile, the Pan Am smile. A smile to communicate, hello, but it's as opposed to a smile where the communication is that of genuine happiness. The difference is around the eyes. It's not the mouth, it's the eyes. A real happiness smile, what's known as a Duchenne smile, after a neurophysiologist who studied it, involves moving the eyes. What's interesting is about only 1 out of every 10 people can fake a Duchenne smile. So if you smile at somebody and you just hate their guts, but you want to smile at them, unless you're quite gifted, it's difficult to fake a really good, really happy smile. It's not difficult to study smiles in the real world. You could look at politicians, for instance. Politicians are often in contexts where they have to smile a lot. And what they do is they simply give the Pan Am smile. The mouth moves up, particularly if somebody's attacking their record or ridiculing them, and they'll smile. But it's not a sincere smile. The eyes don't move. My favorite example of this was a few years ago when there was a huge battle for the House Majority Leader. And a Republican named John Bonner won this position in quite a heated battle. And they took a picture of the guy. This is not very nice. They took a picture of the guy, Roy Blunt, as he stepped out and he had lost. And this was his expression. And, he's not really very happy, as opposed to a smile like this, which is a real smile. So you have two sorts of smiles, a real happiness smile and a Duchenne smile, also known as a Duchenne smile, and then a Pan Am smile or greeting smile. And you'll use each of those smiles at different points in your day and in your life. It turns out that these different smiles have real psychological validity. They seem to sort of reflect deep differences in your mood and emotions and thoughts. 10-month-olds, for instance, give different sorts of smiles when their mother approaches. There they give a real happiness smile, than when a stranger approaches or someone else approaches. There they'll tend to give more of a greeting smile. John Gottman studied married couples, and John Gottman does a lot of work where what he does is he looks at film clips of couples. And by analyzing the film clips, he tries to predict, will their marriages survive? And one of his cues, there's different cues, incidentally, sort of side topic, the death knell for a marriage, for Gottman, this is his big finding. It's not if they fight a lot. It's not if they scream at each other. It's not even if they hate each other. The death knell of a marriage is contempt. And so if he shows these clips, I walk in, honey, I'm home, and my spouse goes, the look of contempt. It's a bad sign. But another clue is the sort of smiles they give when they see each other, when they walk into the lab. If it's a true happiness smile, that's actually bodes better for the relationship than a Pan Am or greeting smile. Finally, studies have been done at college yearbook photos, looking at people 30 years later. And it turns out that there's a correlation, a reliable relationship between how happy somebody is now and back 30 years ago in their yearbook photo, what sort of smile they're giving. There's some evidence for a third sort of smile. This is known as a coy smile or an appeasement smile. This is sort of a very specialized sort of smile. This is a smile of embarrassment or stress. You give it when you want people to like you, you want to join in, you want to make people feel positive about you, but you're in sort of a high stress situation, often with some sort of risk. And what you do is you turn away. There's no eye contact. You turn away and kind of give this. And this actually shows up in other primates. Here's a nice picture. So the rhesus monkey bites her own infant, and the infant gives a scream, and then the submissive coy smile. And it also shows up in human infants. Here's a nice clip of a coy baby smile. I'll walk you through it. The baby is being approached, goes like this, goes like this, and then the aversion. Yeah, babies are cute. Any questions at this point about smiling? What are your smiling questions? Yeah?
Do non-human primates smile for the same reasons?
It's a good question. I don't know. There's evidence that the coy smile shows up in the question was, do non-human primates give the same smiles that humans do, such as a distinction between the Pan Am smile, a greeting smile, versus a genuine smile of happiness? I don't know. I'll find out for you for next class, though. That's a good question. Yeah?
How come some people's smiles are better than other people's smiles?
How come some people's smiles are better than other people's smiles? You know, the non-interesting psychological answer is some people are better looking and there's more thing. But the deeper answer is some people are better able to smile. Some people are better able to use the cues to express true happiness. There's something else about smiles which is going to come up, which your question raises, I think, which is going to come up when we talk about emotional contagion and actually some issues of morality. Smiles are extremely contagious. So what I'd like people to do, if you're sitting next to somebody, please turn around and find someone next to you and look at them. Don't do anything, just look at them. Just look at them. Whoever's being looked at, look back. This is not, please arbitrarily decide, okay, please arbitrarily decide on the smiler. That will be, no, not at me, at each other. And that will be the person, if you are unable to resolve this dispute, yes, you too, please. If you are unable to resolve this dispute, the person to the right of me will be the smiler. So look at each other expressionless. Now, the person who's the mandated smiler, on 3, please smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, worst class demo ever. But if one could imagine more restrained circumstances, it is actually extremely difficult to be facing somebody who's really smiling at you and not smile. This is true, by the way, for virtually every other emotions. The phenomena is known as emotional contagion, where if you're facing somebody, for instance, and they look at you in a face of absolute rage, it is very difficult to just sit there without your own face molding in accord to their own. And the reasons why this happens and how that works is something we'll talk about later on. So that's one more question. Yes?
Are there any studies about whether people smiling with their teeth or just with their lips?
I don't know if that's so. The question is there a difference in smiling like with their teeth versus just your lips closed? There probably is. That's not a main smile difference, but my bet is that there probably is a difference. And my bet also is that that sort of distinction, how much teeth you show when you smile, is the sort of thing that will show regional and country by country differences. For instance, there's been research finding that people in England smile different from people in the United States. And I think that those are the sort of contrasts that you would expect to find cross-cultural differences. Every culture is going to have Pan Am smiles, happiness smiles, coy smiles. But the variation of that sort is something which will vary as a result.